morning. Welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space out in my backyard. And today we are doing something that I have said I was going to do for probably 2 years or more, and I just never did it. Mostly because I wasn't really sure about it. But today I woke up and we have a beautiful day. It is 69 degrees already. It's going to rain really bad later on today. But right now it's like 69 degrees. It's probably maybe 11 o'clock, I don't know. But I woke up and I was like, we're doing this today, because I had told myself, I said, when we get the next warm day, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, and I'm doing it. And I have to leave my hair wrapped up for this, or I'm gonna end up having to do my hair again, because this is a job that's gonna make me sweat. But I've already started. Y'all, that's free compost, baby. That is free compost that I am digging, let's move this, out of the chicken area. So that is what I'm doing this morning, and it's a perfect time to do it. For one, we're about to get a lot of rain, which means it will like get wet and go down into the soil that I already have. So essentially, I'm feeding the soil. This is our first episode of Spring Me Please. I believe I did this last year. People ask, am I gonna do it again? And so yes, I'm gonna do it again. This is the first episode, and this is feeding my soil. As a way to prepare for spring, I want to make sure that my soil is good to go. And the plants that are in here right now, they're growing, not growing the best, but they are growing, right? So maybe this will help the plants that's in there now, but it will for sure help my spring garden. So if you are, thinking about gardening, already have a garden, and you're in an area that's slightly mild, working on your soil, it is a good time to go ahead and work on your soil, especially since, when it gets cold and it freezes. Once it thaws, the moisture is there to help the nutrients start to seep down into the soil that you already have. So that is what I'm working on this morning, right? And we have a whole bunch of weeds. This should help suppress the weeds a little bit too. But let me just show you real quick. We're not going into depth of what's going on out here, but this is what we have going on right now. Things still look good. They haven't died. This cauliflower took quite a hit from the cold, and so did those. That one is pretty much dead. And y'all, something's got to give with my neighbor's cat. Something has got to give. It is just pooping in here. It is digging things up. Oh my God, something got to give. Anyway, we're not going into that. Also, I noticed that some of it is the birds, which I do not mind at all. I came outside the other day and the birds was just in here and they was just digging. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just have to put it back. I'm okay with that. It gives them something to eat in the off season when they can't find much. It gives them things to make nests. I'm not really sure what they're doing out here, but they definitely be digging. So what are we doing today? We are getting any and all compost that is necessary out onto these beds. We're gonna do all of them. We're not gonna worry about the bags right now. I'll worry about that later. But for the garden bed, because the bags produce just fine. I for sure want to get something done to those block beds, because I struggled with them in the spring, and it may have been it wasn't enough nutrients for everything that I put in it. So we for sure are doing that. We're doing all of the actual garden beds today, right? That's what we're doing. So just to show you, this is really good compost, y'all. Well, it's been there for about 2 years, like I said, because I never actually dug it out. It just kind of kept building up. And so that's what we're doing today. See? Nice, and it's moist, but it's not like anaerobic. It's not overly dry. So I can't wait to get this out on the garden. So one of the things that I'm thinking about doing is one of the compost bins, because we all know I'm probably going to take that down. I may put one up in here and then start throwing everything in here and let the chickens help me compost, and then I don't have to work so hard. So I'm thinking about doing that too. I have all kinds of thoughts about how I'm going to compost, because I no longer want to flip piles. I just don't. So with that being said, let's get back to work. This is almost full, but I'm going to fill it all the way as far as I can so that I can get the beds done quickly. Like I said, it's about 11, and I think it's supposed to start raining around 2. So that's what we're going to do. But this is a perfect time, y'all. It's a perfect time if you still have warm days, in your forecast. Oh, by the way, we lost one quail. I do not know what happened. I came outside and there was one quail that was gone. So I just put him over in the compost pile. Somebody asked me about that. Like composting my quail innards once I call them and things of that nature, because people say don't compost meat. I don't compost meat that I've cooked, but I definitely compost the quail. The quail innards and the quail if they pass away. But I'll also just dig a spot over here into the chicken area, and I'll compost the quail that way too. I do it. May want to do your research. I do it, and I've never had a problem. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. All right, so we got as much as we're gonna get in this one right now. So we're just gonna start throwing it on the garden bed. Y'all, having this Gorilla Cart at this door was so useful today. I didn't have to, cause normally I use this really small bucket, and that's how I do this, which is probably why I really didn't do it like the actual digging out. I would dig a little bit out, put some on the garden bed, but never this much. And so I'm very happy that Gorilla Cart was there. Very happy I had the Gorilla Cart. Now, what I will say is I need some more wood chips. I don't think I need a whole truckload right now, so I gotta figure that out too. But yeah, I'm gonna need some more wood chips for that area. I will say they broke those wood chips down real fast. Whew, this heavy. Let me put y'all on the tripod to get this over here. And somebody asked me, why did I choose the Gorilla Cart that I have over the, I guess it's maybe a wheelbarrow type Gorilla Cart? No reason. I wanted it to be deep because we were moving a lot of wood chips, and I actually do like it better. I really do. Like, it was hard the way I was just pulling it, but if I were pushing it, I think it was easier when we pushed it. I don't know. But there's no real reason why I chose it. You will find over here that there's not a lot of reasons why I do a lot of things. A lot of times it's just like what was there at the time. I don't even know that I saw a different type Gorilla Cart. I don't put a lot of thought in a lot of stuff. Don't judge me. All right, so we just about to start putting this down on this garden bed. Just the top dressing. I'm not mixing it in or anything. I'm just doing a top dressing of it. And it'll be nutrients for the garden, for the actual soil in the garden. And like I said, we have a lot of weeds, so it'll help with that too. I'm gonna look into getting a mic so that I don't have to yell when I'm talking to y'all if the camera's not close. It may sound better too. But for today, we're gonna work with what we got. Just breaks up, look at that. It's amazing. Had this in my backyard, and I have been buying compost for years now. But when something doesn't make sense, or I can't figure out if it's gonna be a problem, I kind of, I say procrastinate on it. Somebody called me a procrastinate on my other channel. But sometimes it's more of me just trying to think through it, especially in the garden. And when I say think through it, I just mean I don't do it if I don't know if it's right. So it looks like procrastination sometimes. But when I started digging this up, and I saw like how loamy it was and how it broke up easily, I was like, yeah, this is broken down to the point that I could put it on the garden now. So that's what we're gonna do. This is gonna give organic matter back to the garden too. Everything those chickens ate. Now, you know what else it might do? It could quite possibly also give me volunteers and other weeds, because they do eat weeds and plants that have seeds in them. I'm not tripping. A volunteer, I'm definitely gonna take. And a weed, either I'm gonna pull it or I'm gonna let it grow. And that's gonna be that. But I am sure I will have enough to basically cover every bed that I have out here. So this is one of the good things about having chickens too. If you have the space, is you're technically gonna get free compost from those chickens. And I love it. Another reason why I ended up doing this is because I was like, I really don't want to go buy compost. So I said, let me go dig in here today. And it's a nice warm day, to which I said that's what I was going to do on the next warm day. And that is what I'm doing this morning. And I think it's going to help the garden out tremendously. So this is the little bucket I was telling you about. I was taking this whole bucket from the chicken area and going back. So it does help to have the gorilla cart, because now at this point I don't want to move bags and things to get the gorilla cart through the garden. So I'm just going to do this to move it to other places where the gorilla cart can't fit. So when I first started gardening, I was reading things that said top dressing or side dressing a plant, and I was like, what does that mean? So if you are new to the gardening community, when someone says they're top dressing their plants, they're simply putting a layer of something, either fertilizer or compost, whatever they're doing, they're just putting it on the top layer of the soil. And when they say side dressing, they're just putting it around the drip line. And when I say drip line of the plant, the drip line is where the ends of the plants drip off. So they're putting it around the plant where the water will drip off of the leaves of the plant. There were so many things when I first started gardening, and I was like, I don't know what this means. So that's what those two things mean. I'm trying to think of things as I put this compost on these beds that would help new gardeners, because I mean, the way I was so confused, but I just thought, you know, was looking stuff up. I was like, I don't understand this. So there are words and phrases that are used in gardening that you might not be completely sure of what they mean. So as I put this compost down, I'm just gonna throw some of that stuff out there, and hopefully it'll help someone who's about to start gardening. Okay, so that gorilla cart is gone, so it is now empty. We were able to do this bed with it, that bed. The middle bed has also been done. We have a little bit over there, and we got this Vego garden bed done. So we're headed back in there to get more. All right, so I'm trucking along out here. This is my second wheelbarrow full, and we moving, making good progress. I also took this time to go ahead and like try to fill up my Vego garden beds. They do have plants in them, but you know, this is more preparation for spring. So another thing that I thought about, volunteer. What in the world does volunteer mean? Volunteer is just a plant that you did not plant that comes up and starts growing in your garden. So let's say you had a basil plant. I'm sure I'm gonna have a lot of basil in this middle bed that you did not harvest the seeds from, but you did let it go to seed. Over the winter, those seeds can live in the soil and they'll pop back up, and that's what we call a volunteer. It can happen when birds eat seeds and they poop. It can happen for any reason, but a volunteer is simply a seed you did not plant on purpose in the spot that it's in, and it grew. So that's what a volunteer is. So another thing you might hear a lot is an abbreviation NPK. That stands for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Those are the things that are in fertilizers. That's what those abbreviations mean. Those are the things that your plants need to grow strong roots, to grow green leaves, to produce the fruit, to produce the heads, you know, in the fall, like on broccoli and cabbages, cauliflower, things like that. So if you hear people say NPK, or you read something that's NPK, it is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. It's the elements. So the vole or mole has been heavy in this bed right here. And I did just walk on it. I didn't do it on camera because it seems that when I walk on my bed on camera, no matter what I'm saying, someone only sees me walking on my bed and they come to tell me why I should not walk on my bed. I walk on my beds because I have a mole or a vole and it loosens the soil, and so if I don't walk on it, and there are tunnels up under the ground, and the plants are not getting connection to the soil, they're not going to grow anyway. So me walking on the bed and there being a tunnel on the bottom, it doesn't matter. Either way, the plant is not going to grow. So yeah, I just walked all the way across this whole entire bed. Soil was so mushy. Someone did send me something for molds or voles. I'm gonna try putting that down. I just need to read the ingredients, because if it is not something that's natural, I'm not gonna use it. Although I do appreciate you sending it to me. So I need to read that, and if it, you know, is natural, maybe I'll do it. But for now, I'm gonna walk on my beds. I'm going in for another cart of compost now. I don't have that much left to do, but I also want to do the greenhouse, the beds in the greenhouse. So I'm going in for some more. Whew, y'all, a lot of work, but I think it's gonna be well worth it. Oh, I still need to do this Vego garden bed too. So it's gonna be well worth it. It's a lot of work this morning though. I think I'm gonna go ahead and chop this down. That is the pineapple sage. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and chop it. It'll come back next year. All right, so one of the things I have not done yet is cut down the asparagus. I wanted it to die like all the way back this year before I cut it. But asparagus benefit from a good heaping of compost. So we're gonna cut the asparagus down. The weather is coming, so this is probably gonna be the last thing I do. I'm sure you can see and hear the wind at this point. So we're gonna cut down this asparagus, and this is gonna be the last place that we actually compost today. I will get to the greenhouse later, but I really want this down before it starts to rain, because it's gonna help it like seep down into the soil, and that's gonna be great. So in case you are new to gardening, asparagus, if you don't pick them while they are asparagus size, they turn into this. And I had a very crazy year, and I missed a lot of asparagus. I'm sure you can tell. There's still a few green in here, but nothing's gonna come of it. All right, so now we're gonna just come and put some compost over here. Then we're gonna go in the house before the rain hits, because nobody's got time for that. Although I don't mind working in the rain, but not when my hair is not in braids. So, and the camera definitely can't stay out here in the rain. And that's how I put my asparagus bed to sleep. There are people who say, or the garden rules that say, don't put your asparagus ferns back on the bed because any disease or any bugs can go into the soil and then you have an issue with your asparagus. I do believe it's true. It's not true for me. It's the way that I put my asparagus bed to sleep every year, and I've never had a problem. They come back every year. So yeah, I keep my asparagus ferns. So, all right. That's pretty much it. Let's talk about, if you don't have chickens, what you could be doing right now. So I waited about 30 minutes and the weather never came. And y'all, can y'all just see how beautiful it is out here? I mean, like, it's beautiful. And I do not want to let this day get past me without spending time out in the garden. So right now, I'm putting some more leaves in the quail coops, because while we have leaves, that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use leaves instead of using the bedding, because, you know, cost effectiveness. I'll use the bedding when we don't have leaves. So like in the summertime when we don't have leaves, then I'll use the bedding. But right now, I'm just putting some more bedding down the bottom. Quail are very messy, so they've knocked food out and stuff like that. But let's talk about, if you don't have chickens, what you could be doing right now. Chickens are great to have. Also, rabbits make very good manure, and you can use that without it actually breaking down, right? But if you don't have rabbits and you don't have chickens, then you can absolutely just go to a store and find a good compost. Now, I like black cow. I've always used black cow. There's a lot going on in the garden world about black cow. So of course, do your research. And then, you know, different bags come to different places. So maybe I'm not getting those bags that everyone is complaining about. I don't know. But you can find a good compost right now that you can put into your garden so that it can break down over the winter. You can also use granulated fertilizer, as I mentioned earlier about NPK. So you can get just a fertilizer that is balanced. When I say balanced, the N, the P, and the K are the same. And you could just put that in your garden now and it will break down. Granulated fertilizer breaks down over time anyway. And so if you want to, you know, start getting your soil ready now, you can do that. And then those minerals and nutrients will be available for your garden when it is time to plant in spring. As I mentioned, we did lose one quail, but it was just one. I don't know what happened to it. I had their water and food up here, and quail are not really coop animals, so I was thinking maybe that one couldn't find the water and the food. I'm honestly not sure. And so I moved it down to the bottom level in hopes of not losing any more quail. So food down at the bottom, water down at the bottom for my messy little animals. And I had it right beside each other, but as they play in the food, they were throwing it into the water. So I'm deciding at this point to move it into separate areas. So my 3 quail don't really need this because their food is in a different type of feeder, which I'm going to get for them too. It's way less messy. And then they just chill a little bit more than the new ones. The new ones are wild. Another thing that you could be doing right now is putting your food scraps in your soil. I have never done that, but people say that it works amazingly. And next year, I am going to try that, just like digging a trench and putting it in the garden bed. And if you don't have anything growing in the garden bed, that's amazing because it's just breaking down over the winter and it's going to feed your plants. So that's an option too. So no matter what your situation, whether you have chickens, you don't have chickens, you can still be feeding your garden right now. And that is what I am doing. Our coldest months are on the way, and so it was a perfect time today to be able to get in there, to be able to dig out that chicken area. And there's a lot left. Like I said, I am going to use that in the spring to fill up my new potato bags. Like I said, I got some purple ones from Bootstrap Farmer. Cannot wait to show y'all. They are beautiful. But I don't plant potatoes until February. And then I'm going to use the rest of it to top dress my bags that I already have. And so I can't wait until spring also to move that compost pile because I think that they will break that stuff down so quickly. And the next time that I need compost, I'll have compost too. I'm only going to put one in there because I don't want to take up a lot of their space. But I'm going to leave it open in the front so they could just go in there, dig around, and do whatever they want to do. And when I have food scraps and things, I'll put them in there and then some into the garden beds. But it was a perfect day for this. So right now, before it gets super cold for me, I am thinking about my soil. I do need to also start some seeds, especially if I'm planning on trying to get another brassica harvest because I didn't get a great one in the fall. That's probably going to be the next thing that we do. I'm going to start some brassica seeds because I believe last year, I need to go back and look. I believe I planted them out like late February. I think. I cannot remember. And then I did get a brassica harvest in the spring, which it gets very hot here very quickly, but that's going to be the next thing I do. So we're starting the Spring Me Please series because for me, I am preparing for spring in December, end of December, January, I am starting to plan for spring. And so the biggest thing is looking at your last frost. So if you're not in my area and you're not close to my area, you probably don't want to follow exactly what I'm doing. But this year, I'm going to make sure I point out what week away from the last frost I am, so it could perhaps give you an idea of where you should be with your planting when you are in that week of your last frost. So I do not claim to be an expert or anything at gardening. I do share what I am doing, and so that is basically what I'm doing, sharing what I am doing, hopefully to help someone. And so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to visit me over on Instagram, where I post about the things going on in my garden almost every day. Bye, y'all.